Hi Oscar, how you doing today? Grandpa here, and love from Grandpa and from Granny as well. Granny sends her love to you all and the new little kitties and your little sister Annabelle. I hope you're enjoying the Jerry and Wizzy kitties, little pussies. I'm sure they're lovely and you must be enjoying them. And I expect we'll see some more pics of them soon. Anyway, I hope you're having fun, and I'm going to read you, and hello to Mummy and Daddy, of course, and I'm going to read you a little bit more from the Wild Wolf Pup. Now, I seem to remember that Zoe was worried about the spooktacular and what her costume might be at Halloween. And Lucy, her mum, said they needed to go over to Higgins Hall to check on a pelican, and Zoe went along as well. And as they got closer to the hall, Zoe noticed something odd. "What's that?" she said, frowning. There was a strange flickering orange light in one of the windows of Higgins Hall, and as they got closer, she realised it was a Halloween pumpkin, wearing a spooky grin. "Mum, did you put that pumpkin there?" Lucy frowned. "No, I didn't." "How strange," she said, "and look, there are cobwebs all over the front door. They weren't there when I walked past earlier." "Ooh!" "What's that?" Zoe and Lucy froze as a howling sound came from inside the hall. Meep squeaked in terror and leapt straight into Zoe's arms. Zoe cuddled him, but she felt quite scared too. What was making that noise? I think we know. I think it's going to be, don't you, Oscar, the Wild Wolf Pup. As Lucy reached out her hand to the cobwebby door, they heard a deep, booming voice cry, "Who's there?" And both Lucy and Zoe gasped as the door of Higgins Hall burst open. Zoe stared for a moment at the figure standing in the doorway, then she breathed a sigh of relief. Her face broke into a grin and she rushed forward. "Great Uncle Horace," she cried, jumping into his arms to give him a big hug. "It's you!" "Wow, what a lovely surprise," said Lucy. "We didn't know you were back." Great Uncle Horace chuckled. He was wearing an orange jumper with a pumpkin on the front, and his untidy white hair looked even wilder than usual. His hyacinth macaw Kiki was perched on his shoulder, preening her beautiful blue feathers. "I hope I didn't startle you," he told them. "I just love Halloween, and I couldn't wait to start decorating the hall. I got back to the rescue zoo about an hour ago from a wonderful trip to North America, where I got awfully used to taking taxis, so I did the same thing when I arrived back here. And the first thing I did when I got home was fetch the box of Halloween decorations down from the attic and put my special jumper on, of course." "So you put the pumpkin in the window and the cobwebs on the door?" asked Zoe. "Yes, that was me," said Great Uncle Horace, beaming. "Don't they look splendid?" Zoe returned his smile, but she was still a little confused. "But what about that strange noise we could hear?" she asked. "Surely that wasn't you as well?" Great Uncle Horace only smiled mysteriously in response, and then said, "All in good time, my dear. Now why don't you come inside and see the rest of the decorations?" They all stepped inside, and Zoe had to swallow her laughter as she looked around the entrance hall. Great Uncle Horace had covered every single inch of it in silvery cobwebs, plastic spiders, rows and rows of bunting shaped like skeletons, and bunches of black and orange balloons. Whoa, there's Zoe in the hall with all the things that Great Uncle Horace has put up for Halloween. "You don't think it's a little bit over the top, do you?" he asked anxiously. Zoe shook her head. "It looks brilliant," she told him. "Excellent," said Great Uncle Horace, beaming. "I'm so glad you like it. Oh, I saw a poster for the spooktacular on my way to the hall, and I must say it sounds marvellous. I'm really looking forward to it. I have a fun idea for my costume too, but I think I'm going to keep it a secret for now." "Wait until you hear the best bit about the spooktacular," Lucy told him. "Zoe and her class are going to sing. They've all been learning a special song at school, and they're going to do a concert for us. Everyone's really excited." "Really?" Great Uncle Horace clapped his hands. "Well now, I'm looking forward to it even more. Was this your idea, Zoe?" Zoe and Meep exchanged an anxious glance. Zoe didn't want to talk about the concert, especially not with Great Uncle Horace. He and Zoe were very close, and Zoe knew he would guess that something was wrong. Quickly she changed the subject. "Great Uncle Horace, if you're back at the rescue zoo, does that mean you've brought a new animal home with you?" she asked, then her eyes widened. "Is that what was making the noise?" Great Uncle Horace smiled at her. "You're quite right, Zoe. I do have a new friend in tow." Just as she said that, there was another spooky howling noise. Ooh, from somewhere inside the house. Can you do that, Oscar? Good howl. Ooh. Yeah, just like a wolf. And Lucy, Zoe and Meep jumped again. "And there he is," said Great Uncle Horace. "Come on, I'll introduce you." Great Uncle Horace led them through the hallway and along a corridor, while the howling sound grew louder and louder. Finally they stopped outside a door, and Zoe held her breath as Great Uncle Horace pushed it open. The howling suddenly stopped, and Zoe heard the pad of paws trotting towards them. Then a small furry face with huge dark eyes peered curiously around the door, and Zoe gasped. "It's a wolf pup!" There it is, Oscar. Chapter 4. The Wild Wolf Pup. There's the Wild Wolf Pup. Zoe knelt down carefully and held out her hand, smiling as the pup gave it a cautious sniff and then a lick. "Is it a girl or a boy?" Zoe asked Great Uncle Horace. "A very boisterous little boy," replied Great Uncle Horace. "I found him in Alaska." "Oh, Alaska's way up north from you, isn't it, Oscar?" "He was separated from the rest of his pack by a fire in the forest where they lived. He's too small to look after himself. So the fire rescue team asked if I would bring him back to the rescue zoo, and of course I said yes." "He wasn't hurt in the fire, I hope," said Lucy with concern. Great Uncle Horace shook his head. "No, thank goodness, just frightened at first, and he keeps howling all day and all night, and I can't work out why. There are many different reasons why a wolf might howl, and I still need to get to the bottom of it. But other than that, he seems happy and friendly." "He's beautiful," said Zoe, stroking the wolf pup's head. "He's about the size of a small dog, with a dark grey coat, pointed ears, and a fluffy tail. His ears and furry paws looked a little bit too big for him, as if he needed to grow into them." Zoe smiled at him, and the pup gave a bark, and then jumped up at her playfully, trying to lick her face. "I think he's decided he likes you, Zoe," laughed Lucy. "Do you think little wolf pup would jump up and lick your face as well, Oscar? I'm sure he'd like you." The pup rolled onto his back excitedly, and Zoe giggled and leaned down to tickle his soft, fluffy belly. The little wolf yapped happily, wriggling around and wagging his tail. Then he jumped up, nudged her arm with his head, and dashed off into the room, turning to see if she was following him. "He wants to play chase with me," Zoe realised, standing up and giggling. "He's so funny." "I knew you'd like each other," said Great Uncle Horace, nodding happily. "Perhaps you could think of a name for him, Zoe. You're always good at that." Zoe chased the little pup around the room until she was breathless. There we are, there's Zoe chasing the little pup around the room. And a pumpkin there on the table, I see. Okay. Even Meep joined in, although he scampered quickly up onto Zoe's shoulder when the wolf pup turned around and started chasing Meep, his little tail wagging excitedly. "Where will he live, Great Uncle Horace?" Zoe asked. The rescue zoo had a pack of Arctic wolves, but no grey wolves like the new pup. "There's a spare enclosure next door to Luna and her family," Great Uncle Horace explained. "So I sent a message to Ethan and some of the other keepers a week ago and asked them to start getting it ready. I made sure they didn't tell you both, as I wanted it to be a surprise. We should be able to take the pup over there tonight. I'll call Ethan on my walkie-talkie and ask him to meet us there. I still need to check on that poorly pelican," said Lucy, "so I'll go and have a look at his foot, and then we'll take the pup to his new home." "Oh yes, poor pelican, I'll join you," Great Uncle Horace said. "He's in one of the rooms upstairs." Fancy keeping a pelican in your... Would you like to keep your pelican in your bedroom, Oscar? Not too sure about that. Not sure Mummy and Daddy would be too sure about that either. "Why don't I stay here with the wolf pup?" Zoe offered quickly. With the Mum and Great Uncle Horace out of the room, she'd be able to speak to the pup without anyone guessing her secret. Because we know, Oscar, don't we, that she can talk to animals. Very special, that is. She waited until their voices were a distant murmur, and then turned back to the little wolf. "My name's Zoe," she said in a friendly whisper, "and this is Meep, my best friend. What's your name?" The wolf pup's tail started wagging even more eagerly when he realised Zoe could talk to him. He jumped up and put his front paws against her legs and gave a happy bark. Shadow, replied Zoe, grinning down at the little wolf. That's a perfect name for you, because of your lovely grey coat. We're really glad you've come to live at the rescue zoo, Shadow. Do you like it so far? There we are. Look, there's Zoe and the little wolf pup called Shadow. Isn't he sweet? Shadow gave another eager bark. Good. And you're right, there are lots of places to explore here, said Zoe, smiling. And I think you'll like your lovely new enclosure too. It's right next door to some other wolves, and you'll get to see it tonight. As soon as... Ooh, suddenly Meat's ears pricked up. Zoe, someone's coming, he told her urgently. Zoe quickly stopped talking just as her mum walked back into the room. I forgot my medical bag, she explained, picking it up. She tilted her head to one side and paused before speaking again. It's funny, Zoe. I heard you chatting to the pup just a minute ago, and it sounded as if he was barking back at you. Almost as if you were talking to one another. Oh no, Zoe stared at her mum in horror. Had Lucy guessed her secret? So it's chapter 5 now. I'll give just a little bit of that while we've got a minute. Look, there's Lucy with the wolf pup having a cuddle. So chapter 5 is Shadow's new home. Before Zoe could think of an excuse, her mum chuckled. Silly me, she said, shaking her head. Can you imagine you and the wolf pup having a conversation? Don't think Zoe's mum realises what's going on, do you, Oscar? As she left again, Zoe let out a sigh of relief. That was close, whispered Meep. I know, admitted Zoe. I'd better be more careful, Meep. Once Lucy had given the pelican a check-up and some more medicine, they were ready to take the pup to the new grey wolf enclosure. Can I carry him? Zoe asked hopefully. Of course, replied Great Uncle Horace, and helped her pick the little wolf up. Zoe kept one arm securely around his body so that he didn't fall, but made sure he could sit upright and see everything around him. This was going to be Shadow's first view of the zoo, and she knew he would want to get a good look. As they walked through the zoo, lots of animals peered curiously over the fences of their own enclosures to have a look at the new arrival and to call out a friendly greeting. The pup was very excited to see so many faces and wriggled eagerly in Zoe's arms, wagging his tail and letting out little barks and louder, longer howls. Ooh! I think I do that rather well, don't you, Oscar? Can you do it as well as Grandpa? Let's have a listen a minute. Not too sure about that. She had to concentrate to make sure she didn't drop him. Oh, I've thought of a name for the wolf pup, Zoe told her mum and Great Uncle Horace, smiling at Meep. Shadow. Excellent, replied Great Uncle Horace. Well, there we are, Oscar. I think we've got to a good point just to pause our reading, and we'll be able to share a little bit more of the Wild Wolf Pup next time, won't we? So I hope you have a lovely rest of the day today, and special wishes from Granny and Grandpa for your first day at school in grade 1 tomorrow. We thought the video that Mummy and Daddy sent of the classroom looks absolutely fantastic, so I know you're going to enjoy it. So we'll look forward to hearing lots and lots of stories about your new classroom, and just have a lovely time and enjoy yourself and enjoy being with all your friends and making some new friends, I hope. So anyway, lots of love. Have a nice day. Lots of love from Granny and from Grandpa, and big hugs for all of you, including your little sister and the 2 new little kitties. I'm sure you can give them a little stroke from Granny and Grandpa, because they would like that, I'm sure. Anyway, bye for now, Oscar. Bye. Bye.